Good morning to you guys here. Happy Wednesday, March 19, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. And boy, do we have a massive storm ongoing this morning. Blizzard conditions up in the upper Midwest and at northern plains. Severe weather outbreak today. Tornadoes, possibly strong tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail across the Midwest and Ohio Valley today. We're going to break all of that down for you guys, as well as the threat for significant wind gusts just sustained with this low pressure gradient, and as well as the wildfire risk. So we're going to break all that down here, but I want to start out by looking at what we've got on the screen here. A massive upper level low here. You can definitely see that comma shaped feature moving across the Missouri Valley here into portions of eastern Kansas. That low pressure system is right around the Kansas City metro area this morning. Blizzard conditions ongoing on the northwestern side and northern side of that low. Severe weather ongoing, or will be ongoing here later on in a couple of hours, as well as very, very strong winds aloft out of the southwest that are bringing a wildfire risk to Texas, Oklahoma, and eastern New Mexico, especially yesterday where we had that extreme fire risk zone. But you can also even see in here, we've got some morning time cloud cover that should be moving out later on this morning through the afternoon, giving us clearing for this afternoon for a severe weather threat. You can also see a column of dust that's going to be kicked up here or ongoing across portions of the Missouri Valley, the Arklatex, and lower 048 here into the lower Ohio Valley, where we can see that wind coming in at the surface, giving us that dust. So just something to look at, but this is not something you see every single day. It's a beautifully shaped satellite imagery of an upper level trough moving in with all three modes of severe weather on, or all three modes of weather ongoing. So we're going to break this forecast down, guys. Kind of piece by piece here. We're going to start out with what the Storm Prediction Center has for today's severe weather outlook, and we did get an upgrade to an enhanced risk there in the orange for Illinois and western Indiana. We've got a 10% hatch tornado risk there, basically meaning 10% chance of EF2 plus tornadoes within a 25-mile radius of a given point. That's going to be that I-75 corridor south from Chicago into Urbana and then west towards Davenport in the Bloomington, Illinois area. I cannot talk today. And then we've got a 5% tornado risk outside of that and a 2% risk zone. We do have a wind threat at 15 and 5% of winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. And then we have a hail threat there in the 15% yellow region and a 5% in the maroon for hail up to 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter. So we've got a pretty big day of severe weather, guys. And like I said, that 10% tornado risk, I do want to make known here. This is a conditional risk zone. If storms do tap into that shear and get surface based wise, we could see a couple strong tornadoes. I wouldn't be surprised if that slight risk also does expend out a little bit more on the next update. We're just going to have to wait and see what SPC does with that. But we'll walk through that timing here in just a second for you guys. But I also want to talk about our next day of severe weather. And currently right now, that is going to be Sunday. We're not expecting any more severe weather, at least until Sunday. We've talked about this risk zone in the last two videos here. It's been moving around a lot. It has moved around a lot. Once again, it's shifted a little bit further south and gotten a little bit further to the west there and a little bit further to the east. This is a level 2 slight risk for severe weather. This is going to be mostly a hail and wind driven event on Sunday. There will be a conditional, I think, occasional tornado risk with this on Sunday. So we'll, wait for SPC to get closer to this day on Sunday happening before we kind of get more speculant on what's going to happen and what storm mode we're going to be in. But all three modes of severe weather will be possible on Sunday for the Arklatex, the Louisiana area there into western Mississippi, central Mississippi, eastern and central Texas. You need to be on alert for severe weather then. And then also the wildfire risk that's in place. We had an extreme risk zone for wildfire yesterday. Today that's been downgraded. We now have a critical and elevated threat, level 1 and level 2, for portions of Texas, eastern New Mexico, Oklahoma, and then another elevated risk zone for western North Carolina up through the Appalachian Mountains there. We could see an elevated fire threat. We're going to have temperatures right at 80 degrees there today. So with that dry humidity in the atmosphere, we're going to have the threat in it with as well with the wind field coming in from that storm. We'll have the threat for wildfires potentially today, so make sure you're not out and burning in those areas, please, as always. Tomorrow we kind of lower that risk zone down once again to more of a smaller area there, eastern New Mexico getting into southern Colorado and west Texas, and that's what we've got as far as the overall fire risk and severe weather threat. Now, I do want to talk briefly here about what we're going to see through the models here. And you can see a big old upper level trough, as I was mentioning here. We actually do have a couple showers and thunderstorms that are ongoing this morning. This whole band here is actually snow. It is not rain. So we'll show that here on the preset models in just a second. But as we go through the evening hours or the afternoon and evening hours here, you're going to start to see these little bubbles kind of pop here around that low as that surface-based instability gets going. And we could see that tornado risk ramp up as soon as 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, maybe even a little bit sooner than that. We will be live covering this as well, guys, on TikTok, so make sure you guys are following over there. But you can see little beans kind of popping up here, giving us the threat for supercells of tornadoes, maybe even a strong tornado possible, especially along that I-75 corridor from Chicago down through Urbana. And then a couple more cells start to pop up along the Ohio River there and on the Indiana and Illinois line. They're giving us the threat for an occasional isolated tornado damaging wind threat and hail threat. And you can kind of see after 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. tonight, we get more of a line that organizes here. Can't even rule out a strong or a low-end tornado risk for southwestern Michigan there, and then that kind of becomes more of a damaging wind threat through eastern Indiana down into western Kentucky, central Kentucky, and Tennessee. I'll show that southern mode here in just a second, and then as we go through the dinner time hour and late evening hours, and then closer to the overnight hours, this kind of falls apart, and we're really looking at more of just a rain and thunderstorm threat. So I expect the severe weather window today to going to be about 5 to 7 hours roughly, but more than likely between 2 o'clock and 10 p.m. tonight, maybe 8 hours at lengthwise. But we'll keep you guys updated on that scenario. Another thing I do want to show you guys here is going to be those tornado parameters are going to be in place for today. This just gives us an idea of how, what could we see tornadic environment-wise. And you can see why the Storm Prediction Center upgraded the eastern Illinois quadrant here to a 10% hatch due to some higher sig-fig towards the models are indicating for a stronger tornado potential. That will extend all the way into Indiana and into western and central Kentucky through this afternoon and evening. And then as we go through the overnight or closer to the overnight hours there, that does in fact go away. Another thing that we're going to look at as well is going to be that surface-based cape instability. This shows us how much instability is at the surface to give us an idea of where that tornado threat and wind and hail threat could organize. You can see just enough instability here, 500 joules per kilogram, all the way up to 1,000 from western Kentucky through Illinois and Indiana. And then as the evening and overnight hours progress, we will see that fizzle out and basically dwindle down. So we'll talk about the southern mode here really quickly and just kind of give you guys a radar perspective on what we're going to see with our southern mode here as always, and you can see more of a conditional risk that's going to be in place. Storms could fire off as far as Alabama and Mississippi. I think this is a big question mark if we can get that subnoptic forcing with our cold front that's going to, be further to the north here in our warm front, but could get an occasional shower or storm. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but we're going to be more focused on Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and western Ohio through today's event as of right now. So that's what we've got on the severe weather side. I do want to also talk about the winter weather side of this really quickly, just to kind of give you guys an idea on what we're going to be seeing with this. We'll go back up here to the Midwestern quadrant. You can already see the heavy snow ongoing, blizzard conditions ongoing into northwestern Iowa, southern Minnesota, into Nebraska and Kansas here with that 991 millibar low. That will strengthen to about 990. You can see that snow kind of start to move its way east there. We could actually, believe it or not, guys, if you're getting severe weather today in eastern Iowa and Illinois, we could actually see that cold air come in pretty quickly on the backside of this. And if that moisture is still in place, which I think it will be, we will have some accumulating snowfall through northern Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, maybe even getting into the Kansas City metro area later on this afternoon and this evening before that moisture and low pressure system kind of boots its way out of here. And you can see once again wraparound snow bands behind this into northern Illinois. So like I said, you might get tornadoes and severe weather today and then snow tomorrow morning. So just something to be very mindful of. And then that system works its way off the east. I do want to talk about the wind gusts as well with this. You can see those golden red colors popping up here through Kansas, through Nebraska, very strong winds aloft and at the surface there into eastern portions of Nebraska. You see some 60-mile-per-hour winds potentially. We're going to see as that low pressure system works its way to the east, wind gusts will intensify. We could see 40s and 50s across most of the Ohio Valley and Missouri Valley, some 40s to 60+ mile-an-hour wind gusts through Kansas, Missouri, and portions of Iowa and Wisconsin. And then that system, like I said, works its way east. We could even see some pretty strong winds aloft and at the surface into the Lake Michigan corridor and into Michigan in general. So just kind of something to take note of there. And one more thing I will show you guys is going to be that snowfall total here and what we could see through the next really 24 to 48 hours. And you can see higher snowfall totals anywhere from another additional 8 to 12 inches of snow in this corridor here from basically eastern Nebraska through northwestern Iowa, and then an extra 5 to 8 inches of snow through Wisconsin, and maybe even some higher totals along the lakes there with that snow banding that typically sets up. We could also see 1 to 3 inches of snow back here into Illinois, into eastern Missouri, and then into portions of northwestern Indiana with that wraparound cold air behind this low pressure system. So a lot of weather, guys, going on in the next couple of hours here, really 24 to 48 hours before we kick this system out of here. I will have more of an in-depth forecast on what's going to happen after today going through the rest of the week once we get through today. But other than that, guys, stay safe. Have a way to get weather alerts on your phones, and we will see you guys in the next one. Be safe, everyone.